You ever see something that feels impossible? Something that makes you back up and double take and squint your eyes because it doesn't seem real and yet somehow it's right there and you just can't believe it? Well, that's how a lot of people felt after Nintendo's E3 presentation, because ooh boy. After a 16-year absence from Nintendo systems, after spending the last 10 years in limbo, Banjo and Kazooie are back in commanding fashion. To say the reveal caught the attention of Smash fans, especially Western fans, would be an understatement. Crazy to think that this is just another feather in Ultimate's cap, something that would have felt so impossible even so recently. Something that really was nigh impossible just a few years ago, before Microsoft became so much more willing to collaborate with their former rivals. But now that the Bear and Bird are back in action, how are they going to fight? What can their fans expect from their moveset and fighting style once they've officially joined the roster in the coming weeks? Let's take a closer look at the reveal trailer and screenshots we've seen so far, combine it with some theories on the parts we haven't seen yet, and see if we can't figure out how the duo will fight. Starting off, their overall look in Smash feels as true to the source material as you'd come to expect. Even their voice clips are lifted straight from their two N64 games. Though their design isn't an exact one-to-one transition, there have been some touch-ups in places. Banjo's body is a little bigger now, his backpack has extra details that were only visible in artwork and not in the games, like a bottom flap to explain how Kazooie can stick her legs out, stuff like that. In a way, it feels like they're meant to look as if they've been around this whole time and their design has slowly evolved over the years, instead of taking a sharp left turn a decade ago and disappearing afterward. For alternate costumes, we're left in the dark for the most part. We only know of one so far thanks to this screenshot, a pink alt very clearly referencing the shaman Mumbo Jumbo. Though if this one's any precedent, maybe we'll see some of the other alts reference other major characters. Maybe one of them will even make Kazooie green, as a nod to her secret dragon transformation in the second game. What we've seen in the duo's animations are also very familiar. Helps that they had such a diverse moveset to work with from the start. Techniques like the feathery flap double jump are a natural fit for a game where everyone has a double jump, and the Talon Trot as their run animation also makes a lot of sense. Speaking from experience as someone who's made a thing out of building movesets, it gets a lot easier to do so when you have so much to work with from the start. We also caught a glimpse of a couple taunts, one where the pair strikes a pose, and another where Banjo takes a bow in a very similar way to when you open a note door in the first game. No sign of their third taunt yet. Maybe it'll be a nod to that one idle animation where Kazooie pecks Banjo's shoulder and hides when he looks back. Now onto the actual moveset, where the references just keep coming. Banjo and Kazooie's jab combo consists of 2 claw swipes and a finishing uppercut. A simple enough 3-hit jab, it'll get the job done if you need some quick damage. And hopefully it'll be less unwieldy than the attack from the first game that it's based on. We caught a glimpse of their forward tilt during this scene here, with Banjo picking Kazooie up and thrusting her forward to stab opponents with her beak. Based on the beak bayonet technique from Banjo-Tooie, it should be useful for poking at opponents as long as you space it competently. Though if you want a longer ranged poke, look no further than their down tilt, a low stab with impressive forward reach. Adapted from the beak barge technique, this one will really let you catch opponents from a distance, and since the duo ducks low when performing it, it'll even let you low profile some attacks. Though make sure you hit with it, since there's fairly significant end lag afterward and they actually move forward a little after the move ends, meaning it'll be easier to punish than it looks if you miss it or it gets shielded. Their forward smash brings out the slapstick, as Banjo swings Kazooie like a bludgeon and she's none too happy about it. A secret technique from the second game, the BREEGULL bash was powerful but slow and difficult to hit with there, and looks to be the same in Smash. Based on the trailer footage, it looks like it won't hit until about frame 18, so save it for when the time is right. For aerials, their back air is based on the rat-a-tat-rap mid-air attack, just done backwards. With decent range and a lot of active frames due to dealing 3 separate hits, it seems pretty useful already, though we still need to know how much damage it does, whether it'll be a useful combo tool or kill option, stuff like that before we get a good idea of how useful it'll actually be. That's all for regular attacks, surprisingly enough. The trailer was pretty light on them, but I think we can make a few educated guesses on what other moves from the games we might see. The forward roll would fit perfectly as a dash attack. Their down smash could use Banjo's pack whack technique from the second game, complete with Kazooie getting dizzy afterwards since she doesn't normally use it while she's in there. Their up smash could adapt the wing whack and have Kazooie spring up and spin her wings like a propeller overhead. Their forward air could just be the regular version of the rat-a-tat-rap, or maybe even a single peck. The Beak Buster ground pound technique is a shoo-in for their down air because, I mean, come on. And the Bill Drill could maybe work as a multi-hit down throw in the style of Bowser Jr.'s. But now let's move on to Banjo and Kazooie's specials. And if you thought the references were going to keep coming, then you're exactly right. Their neutral special gives them a projectile by way of Kazooie's ability to spit eggs at enemies. Don't ask how that works. Combining multiple techniques from both N64 titles, this move has two different modes. One where Banjo drops to all fours and Kazooie shoots one egg at a time like a turret, and another where Banjo takes Kazooie out of the backpack and wields her like a rifle for continuous fire like in the FPS segments in the second game. Yeah, Rare put that GoldenEye experience to further use. If I had to guess, tapping or mashing B will get you single shots, and holding the button down will shift you into blaster mode. This move seems really good at a glance for pelting opponents and racking up damage from a distance, or closing the gap and locking down opponents, but its drawbacks ought to keep it from getting overpowered. For one, it appears you can only shoot one egg at a time when not in blaster mode. Well, maybe that's just a trailer thing and you'll actually be able to go up to 3 at once like in the games, so who knows. For two, it seems like you have to fire at least once before shifting into blaster mode, meaning it takes time for you to start moving and that makes it very telegraphed. For three, you don't appear to be able to jump while in blaster mode. And you couldn't in the FPS segments in Tooie, so it's a logical weakness, meaning you'll be vulnerable to anyone approaching from the air for however long this move's end lag is. And for four, well, there's one other potential drawback this move might have that I'll get to in a bit. Next we have their side special, combining the protective WONDERWING technique with a forward charge that bowls over opponents even if they're attacking. This move uses up golden feathers the longer you have it active in the games, and each use of it in Smash requires 1 feather out of a limited stock of 5. Note that this actually doesn't seem to grant true invincibility. The way the duo seems to interact with both the Unira and Bowser Jr.'s forward smash, and do so without the visual effects that usually indicate total protection from an attack, seems to give away that this move just gives them super armor, protecting them from only knockback while they still take damage. But despite that, the WONDERWING looks to be a very effective tool for punishing opponents when they leave themselves open or when you want to get out of a bad situation. And the built-in armor means you can plow right through enemy attacks to do so if you don't mind the extra percent. But since it runs on a limited ammo system and we don't know if or how you'll be able to replenish your gold feathers, though I have a theory, you'll have to choose the right time to use it or else it'll be inaccessible when you need it later. That and it'll have the usual weakness these types of moves have of being super unsafe on shield, so make sure when you go for it you don't get blocked and punished. The duo's up special summons a shock jump pad at their feet, allowing them to spring upward and hopefully make it back to the stage. Notably, they do not go into free fall afterward, as you see them double jump immediately afterward, which seems to happen a lot with guest fighters' recovery moves. Though this appears to not have any hitbox to protect it from edge guards, which is also a recurring thing with like half the guest fighters. Similar to Mega Man's and Sonic's recoveries, Shock Spring Jump makes up for its lack of direct protection with its flexibility of use. Since you're not stuck in free fall afterward, you can mix up when you use it to juke your opponents and go around their attempts to stop your recovery. You might even be able to charge it to spring higher. This clip leaves it kinda ambiguous whether it's chargeable or just has a set amount of startup. The pair's down special gives them items to work with, as Kazooie lays an egg that functions like a live grenade. Don't ask how that works. From what we saw in the trailer, we know the grenade egg can be picked up afterward and thrown, exploding on contact with opponents. However, there's a lot we don't know yet about this move. Do the eggs blow up on their own if left alone? If so, how long does it take? Can they go off while someone's holding them? Are the explosions built more for damage like Snake's grenades or KOs like Link's remote bombs? Or are they built more to combo into stuff like Young Link's or Toon Link's bombs? Either way, the grenade eggs should be useful projectiles to have, though make sure you lay them when no opponents are nearby since anyone right next to you can just pick them up before you can. Finally, we have their final smash, and it's one that a lot of fans saw coming. The mighty JINJONATOR is the ultimate weapon of the Jinjo creatures you can optionally rescue in the games, and it's used to deal the finishing blow against Gruntilda in the first game's final battle. Smash recreates that moment in cinematic form to lay the smackdown on any enemies you catch with the startup of it. Well, aside from the burying them under a huge boulder until they come back the next game as a skeleton part. Before we talk overall impressions, there's one more thing I want to bring up, something I've even seen other people think about. What if the trailer is hiding a character-specific mechanic? The Banjo-Kazooie games codified the collectathon platformer as we know it today, so What if that got worked into their moveset? What if golden feathers or batches of eggs spawn in at random places on stage and you have to collect them to replenish your ammo? While nothing in the trailer directly points toward this, and most reveal trailers are upfront about showing character-specific gimmicks, they did keep K. Rool's belly armor mechanic a secret in his trailer aside from showing super armor on his dash attack, and Hero's trailer showed us one command menu and a bunch of spells without letting slip that most of them are only available at random. Now, I don't think there needs to be a collecting mechanic in their moveset, and I've seen arguments that it can make them too gimmicky, and I kinda see where that's coming from because it'd need to be handled very carefully. But it would be one more neat reference in a moveset already loaded with them. Personally, I'm on the fence on whether it's a thing or not. Jury's out for now. So now that we've looked over what we know of their moveset and what might be hidden away, how will Banjo and Kazooie actually fight? The bear and bird look to be very balanced. A jack-of-all-trades kind of fighting style that can do just about everything competently. They have a mix of close-ranged and disjointed attacks, 2 projectiles, at least 1 hard-hitting KO move, a flexible recovery, and a punish tool with armor on it. This will make them difficult to outright counter unless they end up underpowered at launch. Though the more moves they have with Kazooie is the one attacking, the more focus the pair will have on a footsies-based offense, built more to outspace opponents and win exchanges than rush people down and overwhelm them. Winning games while playing as them will require understanding which of your multitude of tools your current opponent is vulnerable to and taking advantage of that. On the opposite end, being a jack of all trades usually means you're also a master of none, or at least only a master of few. If you're fighting against them, you'll want to force them into exchanges where they have to rely on options that pale in comparison to yours. Stuff like rushing them down and getting in their faces if your character has faster attacks, waging projectile wars if your projectile zoning is stronger, outspacing them right back if you have a bigger disjoint, stuff like that. If they have a collecting mechanic, it'd add another layer to their game plan since they'd need to keep moving around to collect pickups as they appear. This would leave them vulnerable to characters with strong stage control tools who can lock down their movement and cut off access to their ammo refills. We'll see how close I get to the real thing. I ended up way off the mark with Hero, so who knows, right? Overall, Banjo and Kazooie feel like one giant love letter to a bygone age and to the fans who've waited so long for their return. What we've seen so far is already impressively true to character, and there's still so much we haven't seen yet, both from their moveset and from the Spiral Mountain stage they're bringing with them, and its apparent ability to rotate around as well as whatever the hell Grunty is up to there. Ultimate keeps finding ways to bring back long-lost characters, and while it's not always in the way fans had hoped for most, just seeing them again can be a welcome reminder that someone remembers and cares about them too. And though I've been pretty upfront about how I want to see some of Nintendo's newer characters get a fair shake, I do wonder if there's one more old friend that Ultimate can bring back from the dead. Wishful thinking, right? Special thanks to these nice people for helping make this video happen, and a big shout out to my patrons in particular for their continued support. If you're interested in becoming a patron yourself, follow the link in the description or the end screen. And so until next time, we wait for the next direct to come and potentially show off who's coming next. Getting kind of nervous just thinking about it.